My name's Alana and I have autism. I wanted to call this talk Autism, My Superpower, because I think too often in life and in the media there's a negative representation of disabled people and the positives of being disabled are ignored, and I want to celebrate them today. I'm going to tell you a bit about me and my story. Even though I said people focus on the negatives too much, I am going to talk about the negatives of being autistic and the difficulties, because I think I want to show despite them there's still lots of positives, and then I want to talk about some of my achievements. Rowan, is the volume still okay? Okay, it's alright. This is a night to celebrate disabled women, and so I want to start my talk by celebrating some disabled women, some well-known, some not so famous. The first one is Dame Sarah Story. She's a road and track racing cyclist and former swimmer who was born without a functioning left hand. Liz Carr, who you might know from Silent Witness, she's an actress, comedian, presenter and activist. She's got arthrogryposis multiplex congenita. Her disability is literally translated as curving of joints. Then Greta Thunberg, a teenage autistic climate change activist. Then I want to talk about some not so famous women. The first one's my mother. She's autistic. For the last 19 years, she's worked really hard for me, my brother and other autistic children, fighting local councils, authorities, schools and CAMs to ensure that our needs are listened to and our rights are followed. The second one is Victoria, the other DSO who can't be here tonight. She has worked incredibly hard this past year to ensure that all you guys disabled people, your views and your rights and everything are represented on campus, and she's helped make it a much more accessible place than it was. The third one is my friend Layla, who's 11 years old. She's autistic and she knows the difficulties that she faces, but despite that, she's so proud to be autistic, and I think that's really impressive. Rowan, how's the volume? Good. Then, on to me. This is about me, I guess. I need to talk about me and me positively. I was in a very abusive relationship for 4 years, and I'm slowly learning to love myself. It's a slow journey, but I'm getting there. Writing this speech has kind of helped me reflect on me and think about me positively. I need to think of some of the amazing things I've achieved and how I face difficulty, but yet I should be pretty bloody proud of myself. Sorry to swear. I have a bad habit of that. My story. When my brother was diagnosed with autism when he was 3 or 4, so I was 6 or 7, and I found it terrifying. I don't know why, I just did. It meant that when I got my own diagnosis at age 15, I found it really, really hard to process, and then I was diagnosed with ADHD about a year later. Then kind of want to talk about some of the difficulties, but I'll speed through them because we want positivity here. The first one is literal thinking. I take everything ridiculously literally. I really struggle to understand the deeper meanings of things and hidden meanings. I find comedy really hard. It has to be really straightforward, otherwise I just don't get it and I don't really get jokes. Gut problems. I think a lot of people think that autism is about social awkwardness and being sensory sensitive, but there are lots of physical things. Children with autism are 4 more times likely to have gastrointestinal problems, which shows the kind of physical nature of it. An unflexible brain. Those of you who know me know that I hate it when things go wrong, when they don't go my way, or how I planned them. It can really upset me and can cause a meltdown. I'm doing a lot better about it than I used to be, but I still get meltdowns, especially in train stations. I find it very difficult when I don't have control. When I was a kid, I could not take turns playing games. It's really bad, and it's even in my autism diagnosis thing because it's such a problem. My big thing is friendships. I find it really, really difficult to maintain friendships and to make friends. I find it really hard to listen to what people are saying because I have very slow processing speed. There is a clear difference between hanging out with autistic people and non-autistic people. Autistic people speak their mind, we're blunt, and we don't really follow the social rules, and it's quite nice and less exhausting than socialising with non-autistic people. My brain operates very differently from other people, and it can make it really hard for me to understand others and for them to understand me. I often end up taking the blame for things that really aren't my fault because we don't get each other, and it can be really isolating and lonely. But most of my closest friends are neurodiverse because we understand each other and kind of the way our brains work is similar. Then sensory sensitivity. I hate light. The lights in Spring Lane building and the library are horrendous. They give me such bad headaches. I don't like certain textures on clothes. On here I've written that I don't like jeans, yet I am wearing them, but trust me, I don't like them. I don't like crunchy food like baguettes and breadsticks. I'm incredibly sensitive to sound. It's not that it's uncomfortable, it causes me physical pain. I also am really sensitive to certain sounds, for example, the sound of people eating. I hate the sound of my mum eating crisps, can tolerate anyone else, but not my mother. It's quite awkward. And I have to wear headphones and listen to music at dinner. Even the sound of people breathing annoys me. It causes many problems when you're in a relationship and you can't deal with your boyfriend's breathing. I really like my personal space. I really need it. I like a cuddle on the sofa at night, but sometimes I don't, and it really does depend on my mood. I prefer not to be sandwiched between people in lectures and stuff, and at cinemas. And I don't really like hugs. When I was younger and I was crying at school, people would be like, "Oh, Alana, do you want a hug?" And I'd say yeah, because that's what everyone else did, but it kind of made me feel worse. Now, if I hug you, it means I'm okay hugging you. If I don't hug you, then when I was a baby, I didn't really like hugs. I felt kind of bad for my mum, but my brother liked hugs, so it was fine. Too much sensory stuff can be very exhausting, painful, and very frustrating. Now on to positives, because we like positivity. I've got this list from, crikey, my mentor, my mum, myself, my friends. So yeah, I'm not very good at talking positively about myself, so I'm trying. The first one is different way of thinking and being very analytical. Autistic people think very differently, and I think this can be very valuable. The different way of thinking gives people insight into things that they haven't otherwise have noticed. Many of the great brains of this world who've discovered new things are autistic because they think differently and they can solve problems in a different way. I'm very analytical. I notice a lot of things. I know every routine of my housemates to literally everything they get up to in the day, and I know it drives their heads in. They can't hide anything from me. Then there's empathy. There are two types of empathy. The first one's cognitive empathy, which is understanding. So if someone punched someone in the face, I'd get that they'd be sad. The second one is affective empathy. This is the capacity to respond with an appropriate emotion to another's emotional state. There's a very big misunderstanding that autistic people lack affective empathy. It's the truth, some people do, but actually a lot of people who are autistic can have almost excessive empathy, and apparently I fall in that category. I'm told I'm very kind and caring. I feel weird saying that, but it's what I'm told, so. Detail and creativity. I've got very good attention to detail. I'm very creative. I like designing and decorating cakes. I make my own crochet patterns. I like going to charity shops and cutting up things and making new clothes. I can be very hyper-focused on things. If I get into something, then I will kind of spend all my time doing it. If I don't like it, then the ADHD kicks in and it just doesn't happen. I'm able to think very creatively and think outside the box, and I can be very intuitive. I can't say that, sorry. Desire to connect. I expend a lot of effort and energy to learn social skills that don't come naturally. A key example is haircuts. From a young age, my mother drilled into me that if someone, maybe her, got a haircut, even if I didn't like it or I didn't notice it, I had to tell her that it looked nice, because I did used to say it didn't look nice. And last term, my housemate, Hannah, was getting her haircut and it kept on getting cancelled. And one day, I went downstairs on a day that was meant to be a haircut, and I thought, well, it looks the same, but Alana, I have to remember, if you've had a haircut, you say you like it. Guess what happened? Her haircut had been cancelled, and I said to her, I really like your new haircut, and it was really embarrassing, and she's never trusted me since whenever I say I like her hair. Then there's intelligence and specialist interests. I feel kind of arrogant saying this, but I guess I am intelligent. I think we all are. We're at the Uni of York, so we have good brains to us. I'm quite good at maths. I've got a very good retentive memory, so I'm very good at remembering dates, facts, figures. My A-level politics teacher got me to remember all sorts of facts, mainly because he couldn't, and he'd asked me to tell him, and I could put them in an exam, because people just tell me things and I kind of remember them. Then there's being honest, fair and just. I'm incredibly honest, and I think I have a lot of moral integrity. It can be something that's very positive, but it can also make me very vulnerable, so it's got a dual aspect to it. I have a tendency to be unconventional, open-minded and tolerant. I'm intensely responsible when made aware of injustice. I like to advocate for the underdogs, victims of bullying, and when people aren't being treated right. I have this ability and a tendency to tell the truth, even when it's not tactful and in my best interests. When things go wrong and I think people are being treated badly, I like to tell them, and I'm always getting in trouble for getting involved in things that aren't my problem, but I just can't deal with people being treated badly. Then the last thing I want to talk about is some of my achievements. I'm 19 years old, so I have 19 achievements by me. Some of them I think are kind of big ones, some of them are more personal to me. The first one's becoming DSO. I ran for Disabled Students Officer with Victoria last year. If you rewind to 5 years ago and I was being terrified of being autistic, to tell the university, I'm autistic, I'm disabled, vote for me, has kind of shown how far I've come and how accepting I am. I asked for an autism assessment despite my fear of autism when I was 14. I started a YouTube channel about a year ago where I talk about being autistic and how it affects my life. I became a volunteer for Night Safe. Say hello, any of you have puked on me. I've coped through difficult cases and I changed my routine for when I do Night Safe. I became free of my ex-boyfriend. A couple of years before we broke up, we went on a camping trip to Shropshire, and in the middle day we decided to do a hike, and then we extended it and we ran out of water, and he was the one that had packed the water. I'm genuinely surprised I didn't kill him because it was 28 degrees and we ran out of water. I looked after my 3-year-old and 1-year-old cousin with my aunt for a weekend last October while my uncle was away. Kids are tiring and they don't get personal space. I've ran 5k without stopping. I've swam 3.5k. I've cycled 300 miles last September for charity. I passed my National Pool Lifeguard qualification in 2017. It's a week-long course, about 9 hours a day, and then on a Saturday there was a 4-hour assessment. I didn't know anyone, and it was horrible, but I really enjoyed it, and I've now been a lifeguard for 2.5 years. I got into university. I'm somehow halfway through my degree. I don't like travelling. I hate it. Last summer, I surprised my parents at the airport despite many travel problems. Me and my brother were running late, so we got on the bus from Tilehurst to Reading Station, ran for a train. We then got on a train that went back to Tilehurst, and we had a bit of a falling out at the station, but eventually we did make it back to Heathrow and surprised my parents, and they were quite happy after they asked us why we're here. I flew to Spain and Austin solo last summer, despite having a meltdown in Newcastle Airport. I had kind of been terrified of travelling before that, but I finally did it and I had some amazing holidays, and it was definitely worth it. I've got a tube in London solo on 3 occasions, which I'm proud of because I hate the tube when with other people. I've made a dress, taught myself how to crochet last year. The last one is that I was incredibly poorly last term and I got through it. I'm not completely better, but I didn't think I was ever going to get better, and I have got somewhat, so I'm proud. What I'm trying to say to you all today is that yes, my autism limits me in certain ways, but despite the limitations and difficulties it brings, I have achieved so many great things, and I know that I can achieve great things. For a while I thought my life was limited, and at times I still do. I question whether I'll be able to ever have a full-time job, be able to get married, to be able to cope with having children. These worries exist, but even if they turn out to be true, I know that I can still achieve amazing things. I think I would be naive if I didn't accept these things and consider anything. A disability does affect your day-to-day life, and mine makes mine a bit harder, but it makes you a much stronger person. I know this is really cliche to say, but this room is filled with really strong people who are determined and will do whatever we want to do. You can do great things and achieve amazing things alongside your disability. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Yes, the path might be a little different, the route's a little windier or tougher, but you can still do and achieve great things. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the evening. I hope I didn't bore you.